Tim seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Okay. The minutes of 2/19/25, I know there was a lot to review. It was
So
a
much. I
a
was
9-minute meeting.
Out of my mind about it.
I think we wanted to have those minutes done by 9:05 the next day. Are we in agreement and get a motion on those?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the minutes of 2:19.
I'll second it.
Rob made a motion to approve the minutes of 2/19/25. Tim seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Any project site visit updates?
Not that I have right now. I don't see.
The only thing that we had, I had called Glenn Kravosky a couple months ago regarding 45 Stone School Road, because we requested that he send us some type of procedure for the infiltration or the testing, the water table testing that they're gonna be doing there. I haven't received anything back. I think that's on the next agenda,
It's on
right?
the next agenda.
So I might reach out to him again in the meantime, and see if he has some type of procedure. Maybe he'll bring it to the next meeting, but just so you guys
That would
are
be good.
aware.
Keep it moving, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Question.
Yes.
Was the procedure something that we were supposed to understand and approve, or
I
was
don't think it
was he
was-
just gonna outline what his means and methods were?
Yeah, that was the goal of it. I don't think you guys necessarily requested or you didn't vote on anything, but it was just something we were trying to see so we could demonstrate to the commission what they were gonna be doing, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I haven't received anything from him, so.
Look fancy, huh?
That'd be, wouldn't
We
hurt to
usually sit
follow up with
right
him.
there.
Any other project?
Here, Mike is.
Is Mike talking to us or someone else?
Mike? No, he's muted.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you need us?
No, I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't realize
okay.
I wasn't muted and I talked. I
No,
was
that's okay. We just don't want to ignore you.
Sorry about that. No. Thank you,
Any other
guys.
projects from any of the other town boards?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I did sign a thing today refunding money for 14 Silver Ledge that was going to do an ANRAD and pulled it back in. And just want to remind people, if you have any open orders or conditions or anything out there, to get them in, because there's money that can get paid back, and one is trying to clean some of those things up. Any unexpected business or enforcement issues?
No, that I have, no.
Anything anybody else wants to
I
talk
have
about?
one question.
Yes.
Is there a town-wide cleanup coming up?
Oh, yes, I'm glad you said that. There-
Look at Tim feeding
So, nice job, Tim.
I
This-
don't remember the date. I have it
This
on
will
my
be the
calendar.
4th annual town meeting, which is on April, I should get the, I'm not town meeting, town
Town
cleanup.
cleanup.
Town cleanup. And it is on April 5th, if I can get my calendar. Should have been a little more prepared for this, Tim. Should have told me about this before.
I didn't, I just thought of it. I literally just thought of it.
He was just
I'm
feeding
kidding.
you.
Saturday, April 5th. So there'll be town-wide cleanup at 9 o'clock in the morning from 9 to 11. My daughter will be at the, outside at the common handing out bags if people want supplies, gloves, bags. If not, you can use your own trash bags. And the committee is asking that people just pick an area and clean up, work 100 feet in front of your house or what have you. And thank you very much to Al's Rubbish is donating 3 dumpsters. There'll be 1 dumpster here at the Common. There'll be 1 dumpster at the the Manchog Fire Station. And the 3rd dumpster will be at Al's located on 122. Over the past few years, over 4 tons of garbage has been collected from the street.
That's awesome.
There is no rain date, so the date is Saturday. However, the dumpsters will be out through end of day Sunday. So if you want to clean up Saturday or Sunday, I know we usually do my road, like either the weekend before or a few days before, so we can go to another area. It's kind of a nice thing. It cleans things up. It's amazing how much trash accumulates in the town of Sutton in a year. So thank you for that reminder. So again, that's April 5th, starting at 9 o'clock. Find a dumpster. You don't need Sutton trash bags. You can just use any kind of trash bag. Thank you. Anything else?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Oh, anything from the public or anyone on Zoom? Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll
Robin made a motion.
Still second it.
Tim seconded. Robert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And I, Bill Ford, aye. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
You know, we should have a
communities who's really proposing those guidelines. And Marshfield wants the town to exempt the town from having to abide by the acts, because it's an unfunded mandate. And then Friday, the 28th, Middleborough sued the administration as well. They're going back and suing them too. And so that's one of the, so far you have Rentham, Methuen, Middleborough, Marshfield, and I think there's some others. I'm trying to do additional research on it, but there's others out there that are pursuing the same course. And so I just wanted to came back, I expressed in the email to you that there are opportunities for us. Proposed that action items, I propose that the select board should immediately take leadership on the issue and look for similar opinions that the other towns have been getting. Just to get that on the books, really to document what it, as the other towns have done, document it that we're looking at it as an unfunded mandate. Because, considering the current infrastructure constraints such as water and sewer in the town and some of the zoning that's going to take place, we don't have the money for that. And you're not gonna put it on the residents either. That's one of the things that I'm very concerned about, especially with the water situation. We're trying to expand Wilkinsville Water, and you just don't have the capacity for those areas. And then the other thing too is I know that there's you have the HPPs moving through some potential article language that may go on. I don't know if it's going to be at a town meeting, or if it's going to be a special meeting or separate of that. But I would really think that would not move forward with that until we have an opinion from the state auditor and DLM that it's an unfunded mandate, because it's really good. It would really impact our town and the residents, especially we're looking at some of the zoning that they're planning. That they're overlaying. Not that it's set in stone, but it just looks like it's gonna be very impactful on the residents. So there's a lot going on in the space, and that's not even counting the 23 bills that are being proposed this general session by 11 lawmakers too. And so there's a lot of those things going through to make sure that they can either the exempt towns or even outright repeal of the law too. So there's a lot of activity and space going on. There's a lot of lawsuits that are going on, and I think really need to take leadership on this and at least get documented that we were looking for exemptions from it, because we're 8 miles away from the nearest MBTA station. 8 miles away, and they're being treated as if we're right next to an MBTA within the 0.5 half mile. We're being treated as if we are one, but we're not. And you're going to have increased, I know, especially with some of the zoning that looks like it's going to take place. They're looking to be more on the east side of 146, and you've got the heavy trucks that are going through there now. And I just know coming from 146 south, if I'm taking a left turn on the Boston Road, you have trucks that are taking from the right-hand lane. They're taking left-hand turns or even U-turns, and it just congests all the traffic up there. So you're going to add cars onto it, trying to get, if the intent is to add cars, then they're going to go to MBTA station 8 miles away. You're going to increase more traffic in that area too. So I really think we need to look at this and pause and make sure that we're doing the best interest of the town. And by just passing a zoning law just to pass it, it's not the right approach. So I just wanted to share that, follow up with it. There's a lot going on with it. There's a lot of activity in that space, so in the MBTA. So just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Ron.
You may be talking about it later. I don't know, but
Right, as you know, we can't really respond directly to
yeah, no,
public
yeah,
forum, so-
exactly, yeah. But just wanted to let you know about that and follow up and let you know some recent activity that's going on.
Yeah,
in
for sure.
too.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anna, is that right? Same rules, if you can just tell us who you are?
Okay, hi, my name is Anna Wans of 154 Dodge Hill Road in Sutton, and I'm a freshman at Sutton High School. I'm here tonight to talk about the Earth Day cleanup on Saturday, April 5th. This is my 4th year organizing this event. Originally, my goal was to collect 100 bags of trash, but over the course of 3 years, we've collected over 4 tons, which I think is amazing. I'm here tonight to encourage everyone to participate in this event. Thank you to Al's Rubbish for their generous donation of 3 dumpsters again. The 3 locations will be at the fire department in Manchog, the Sutton Common, and outside of Al's Rubbish on Route 122. They've been very generous, and this event would not be possible without them, so we really appreciate that. This year, I'll be handing out supplies on the Common from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the day of, but people can use their own supplies if they choose to. If anyone wants to pick up supplies early, please let me know and I can arrange a way to drop them off to you. This year there is not a rain date, but trash can be put in the dumpsters all weekend, so it's kind of whenever you want to. We do encourage people to participate on Saturday, but if you'd rather do it on Sunday, that's fine as well. And thanks to the Garden Club, Environmental Club, and Manchog Pond Foundation who have already reached out, as well as the Boy Scouts, just some organizations that have agreed to help us. Thank you.
Boy, I wish I could say a lot, but this is a great event, and, you know, I think I speak on behalf of the board, thanking you for the effort that you put into doing this and helping to beautify our town, so
Thank
we
you so
appreciate
much.
that.
Before we let her off the hook, I just have 2 quick questions.
Okay.
Could you repeat the date?
Yeah, of course. It's on Saturday, April 5th, but all
And-
weekend is okay.
And how can people get in contact with you?
So you can email me. I guess, can I just like give you my email now? Is that okay?
Sure.
Or do you want me? I do have flyers too. If you want me to send them, I don't know what's the easiest method for you
Could you
guys.
send the flyers to Town Hall and we can post it on the town page?
Of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much.
so
Thanks for
much.
coming
Have
in.
a great night.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have minutes from our February 18th, 2025 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to accept as presented our minutes from February 18th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Motion in a second. Take a vote.
Jesse Lemanik, aye.
John Harris, aye. Jeff Bannon, aye.
Norman Shopping, aye.
And David Hall, aye. Passes unanimously. Because we have one member that's participating remotely, we're going to hold off approving our executive session minutes from February 18th until we're all here.
Understood. Thank you.
Next up, we have a couple of Eagle Scout recognitions. So I think I can ask the chair to read in the recognitions. Mr. Clerk, excuse me.
What'd you call me?
Chair, but you can have it.
Town of Sutton, Massachusetts Certificate of Recognition and grateful acknowledgement of many years of faithful service to the Boy Scouts of America Troop 243 and the Town of Sutton. It is hereby resolved in formal session by the Sutton Select Board that this certificate of recognition be awarded to Andrew Lucas for having attained the rank of Eagle Scout, whereas Andrew, having been a member of Sutton Scout Troop number 243, gave generously his time and effort and served his community in a dignified, faithful, and scout-like manner. And whereas Andrew earned his Eagle Scout rank with a project that consisted of assisting Brian Stevenson in the Sutton Historical Society in the restoration and framing of 3 Sutton Cemetery signs. And whereas Andrew set a model of commitment and dedication for all scouts to follow. Now therefore, be it further resolved that the Sutton Select Board, on behalf of all residents of Sutton, commend and congratulate Andrew Lucas on this most prestigious achievement. The Select Board members are proud to wish Andrew well in all future endeavors. In witness thereof, the Sutton Select Board has caused this certificate to be read into the record and signed this 4th day of March in the year 2025 and will be presented on Saturday, March 8th, 2025.
Thank you. And while we're at it, you want to just read the second one?
We have one more. Town of Sutton, Massachusetts Certificate of Recognition and grateful acknowledgement of many years of faithful service to the Boy Scouts of America, Troop number 243, and the Town of Sutton. It is hereby resolved in formal session by the Sutton Select Board that this certificate of recognition be awarded to Shane Hawley for having attained the rank of Eagle Scout. Whereas Shane, having been a member of Sutton Scout number 243, gave generously his time and effort and served his community in a dignified, faithful, and scout-like manner. And whereas Shane earned his Eagle Scout rank by assisting Brian Stevenson in the Sutton Historical Society, replacing the ramp at the Sutton Blacksmith Shop, along with repairs to some damaged siding and outside fence. And whereas Shane set a model of commitment and dedication for all scouts to follow. Now therefore be it further resolved that the Sutton Select Board, on behalf of all residents of Sutton, commend and congratulate Shane Hawley on this most prestigious achievement. The Select Board members are proud to wish Shane well in all future endeavors. In witness thereof, the Sutton Select Board has caused this certificate to be read into record and signed this 4th day of March in the year 2025 and will be presented on Saturday, March 15th, 2025.
Very good, thank you. I don't think there's anybody here regarding this, so I don't know if certainly any board members that would like to make some comments, you're welcome to do so.
I know I'm going to be attending the Eagle Scout ceremony for Andrew Lucas. So after I do that, I can give you a lay down on how that went.
Great, sounds good. Anybody else? Jonathan?
No, I'd just like to congratulate both of them and, especially for going through this process and developing their leadership, and just congratulate them.
Certainly.
Yeah, I just like to congratulate them as well. It's a big achievement and something that they will take with them and have for the rest of their lives.
Sure. So. And Norman, anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Definitely huge congratulations, a huge example of leadership that's going to set them for life. So also, like Jesse, I'll be attending the ceremony for Eagle Scout Shane Hawley on the 15th and provide updates accordingly. Thank you.
So first of all, thank you to the board members for doing that. We appreciate that. And
My pleasure.
the only thing I can really add is that there must be something in the water in Sutton, because we seem to develop an awful lot of Eagle Scouts here. So congratulations to everybody, and great work. So thank you. Next up, we have Fire Chief Matt Belcito for an update. Jim, I don't know if you have any comments to start us off. Welcome,
Sure.
Chief.
Yeah, Matt doesn't really need any introduction. He's been chief here for 13 years, coming up on a new contract that we've got to sit down and negotiate. But he has led this department. He has rebuilt the department. He has created a succession plan that is second to none, and great individuals involved in the entire department. But he is facing some issues, and I wanted the board to be aware of them. The first is it's becoming more and more difficult to have a call department in the town of Sutton, in any town. You might recall driving through the town of Millbury, you saw signs up by the roadway asking for volunteers to the call department. And the training as required currently for it to be a call officer, a call firefighter, are extensive. But there was some discussion at one of the last meetings about the capital plan. But then there's the ambulance contract and OSHA regulations. In 2029, there's funding for a new fire station that we had. I think I did that in the PowerPoint, talked about some space at Unified that they are willing to donate the land to build a highway department, and then later on a fire department headquarters. So all of that and more for the chief. So I'll turn it back to you, Mr.
Anything left to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right.
I can tell you one thing, Hannah's a tough act to follow, because she can definitely speak publicly better than I can. Yeah, so just to give you guys a little background where the Sutton Fire Department is and what we've been doing. Like Mr. Smith said, our total operating budget proposal right now is, for the next fiscal year, is $665,211. I watch every meeting, and he did and tell you guys that myself and HR, Aaron Shinapi, are working on maybe payroll adjustments that, hopefully we can get it done for the October town meeting with the blessing of all the officials, if adjustments need to be made. As well as he just stated, myself, and Mr. Smith will be working on a new contract for myself. Moving on to training within the department, the Sutton Fire Department had an extremely rigorous training schedule this past year. This training consists of every Monday night, if not a holiday, as well as some Saturdays and Sundays. The men and women of this department gave a combined total of 2,532 plus hours into this crucial part of retaining the skills and knowledge it takes to be a firefighter. So you can see that we don't sit idle. That's not on top of the 911 emergency calls, which I will get into in a little bit. We also conduct inspections, and we did a total of 445 inspections, which brought in revenue of $15,653. Deputy Chief Dresser handles this. He does yeoman work with it. Robin did 115 resale inspections, 31 smoke carbon monoxide inspections, 109 propane tank inspections, 31 oil burner inspections, and 98 oil tank inspections, as well as 61 other various types of inspections throughout the last year. I'll move on to fire prevention. This extremely worthwhile educational part of the fire department is headed up by Lieutenant Renee Patient and Lieutenant Mike Holmes. The programs are geared towards the town youth and seniors. Lieutenant Patient and Lieutenant Holmes, along with the support of the entire department, will perform school classroom daycare visits as well as fire trucks visits, not only during Fire Prevention Week in October, but all year long. And also, like this Friday, I know the school system, they raffle, go to school in a fire truck. We will be doing that this Friday morning to one lucky woman that won the raffle. So we'll be picking her up at home in fire truck, and we will be delivering her to school.
That's awesome.
Specialty teams. I think I've talked to you folks about this before. I'm very blessed, and as you know, I'm also chairman of Fire District 7, which represents the city of Worcester and 28 towns around central Mass. And within District 7, we have specialty teams. The first specialty teams we have is what we call a technical rescue team. The 5 members of this department that we have on the technical rescue team are Deputy Chief Robin Dresser, District Chief Jeff Briggs, Captain Tom Briggs, Lieutenant Adam McMahon, and Firefighter Ethan McMahon. These members took part in multiple training drills, testing their capabilities as part of the District 7 Technical Rescue Team. These 5 men are part of a 50-man team within District 7 known as the District 7 Technical Rescue Team. The 6 disciplines that these gentlemen hold certifications in are rope operations, rope technician, confined space, trench rescue, structural collapse, and wide area search, as well as large animal rescues. I'm extremely proud of them and all the time and effort that they put into it. Also, on another specialty team, we have 2 members within the department on the District 7 dive team. They are Lieutenants Patient and Captain Tom Briggs. We also have, on another specialty team, the Swift Water team. We have 3 members on that team. They are Deputy Chief Dresser, Captain Briggs, and Lieutenant Patient. And finally, on another specialty teams, we have 2 members of the communication team, which is Lieutenant Mike Harris and Firefighter Jarrett McMahon. This is all on top of their duties in the town of Sutton. We travel within District 7 as well as throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And the District 7 Tech and Swift Water teams actually have, if the Commonwealth is successful in signing an EMAC agreement with other states, certain members of these teams will be handpicked to deploy with those members. I just want to put out also that these members on all these teams have hundreds, if not thousands of hours in the specialty training on top of what I've already stated to you. So we're very lucky. We're very well protected within the town of Sutton. You guys know, some of you known me for a long time. we train very, very hard, probably harder than completely full-time fire departments. And it shows. We are currently on 18 different run cards for mutual aid throughout District 7 and beyond, because we're on Westro's, and they're technically in District 8. So we travel. Calls. Last year, we finished up 2024 with a total of 657 calls. The breakdown of the calls is as follows. Fire-related calls, 404, which 42 of those calls were mutual aid. And EMS calls were 253. So far in 2025, we are on a rapid pace. We just broke 100 calls today so far. And out of those calls, we did so far this year, we've done 11 mutual aid calls. As recently as this morning at 3 o'clock, Engine 1 and myself were up at 3 o'clock this morning responding to a 2-alarm fire in Dudley. So like I said, we're on the move. The towns so far that we've gone mutual aid for is Dudley, Southbridge, Wales, Holland, Grafton, Millbury, Oxford, Webster, Auburn, and Webster. So this is just a direct reflection of the men and women of the Sutton Fire Department, because these other departments see us training. They know who we are, they know where we're at, and they know we're coming. So that's a testament to the men and women. OSHA regulations, I gave you all a handout. As you see with that, there are 36 regulations they want to implement. And as the previous speaker alluded to, they're unfunded mandates. However, as Mr. Smith stated to you before, he had to do what he does best and kind of de-escalate me. We were notified on the SAFER grant that it was frozen because of the MBTA, because our status was up in the air. In his office, I immediately made calls. Fire Chiefs Association of Mass got together, and we it's not the word I want to use, you can figure that out. We were very mad. And within a short amount of time, our voices were heard, and the money became unfrozen at the federal level, and we were subsequently awarded the grant. But it wasn't not for a direct pressure from fire chiefs throughout not only the Commonwealth but the country, because this obviously is it was a federal thing that got frozen. So thankfully, I don't know where it's going, but getting back to OSHA, I get what the previous speaker said. I don't know where you'll go with, it's an unfunded mandate. I'm not a politician, and I don't know that arena whatsoever. So, but you got the 36, and I can tell you, and I think Mr. Smith can attest to this, again, the Fire Chiefs Association of Mass, as well as fire chiefs in all the OSHA states, had some massive pushback. They had a comment period that was allowed for all fire chiefs to make their comments, concerns, or questions throughout the country, because this affects the country. We not only hit that deadline, they had to extend it because obviously, they were getting overwhelmed with the questions and concerns and comments. We had to figure out how to do it diplomatically, though, because, obviously the things that are listed are all safety measures. And obviously we care deeply about our members. on all fire departments throughout the country. So, we didn't want to make it look like we don't care and didn't want safety in place. But, again, alluding back to the previous gentleman, if these things get implemented, they're going to cost some money. And I'm not so sure, that's not my wheelhouse, is finances. But I'm just, if nothing more, I'm informing the board and the townspeople that, this is what we got, and this is what we're looking at. Now, it's what it's going to come down to is the ball's going to be in the town's court as to what we do and how far we go with it. But you're as informed as I can be informed. I think I've done an admirable job of keeping Mr. Smith involved every step of the way. I do not have a crystal ball. None of us do. So, I don't know where it's going to go, but as you can see, that's your copy to keep. So that's OSHA. Going on to the capital projects, and and I know it's a big nut that Mr. Smith presented, and again, I want to state to this board, to the public, to the citizens, to the townspeople of Sutton, these three items that are on my capital, we're not shooting from the hip, and the rescue. The conversation between me and Mr. Smith started, and I have the exact date, because I'm very thorough and I anticipate, because it's a big crack. And the discussion started on November 4th of 2019 with Mr. Smith about needing to replace the rescue. And, we have very open, candid conversations. We communicate well, I believe. And he asked, Matt, you think we can wait? He had a plan, and as he usually does, and his plan was to see if we could get that TIF agreement with Unified, which, as you all know, was successful. It took a little time, and then the first TIF expired. He was able to again, secured on the extension or the second TIF that the town signed with Unified. The only thing that didn't come to fruition in this plan was to sign Tenant 1, and that ship is sailed. Again, and when we started talking about the TIF, I spoke with Jen today. And the TIF agreement started in early 2021, when we knew that truck was going to be on the docket. So, fast forward, none of that came to fruition, and basically here we are 6 years later. Now, and again, me and Mr. Smith, we speak a lot, and we're very focused, and I look at it as a business. He looks at it the way he looks at it. Just a couple of things here, and I did get, for payment on a rescue, there is no cost up front if we so choose to do it that way. I talked to the vendors last night. It's also important that if we're afforded this, which we much need, we can, in the language, we can put in the contract, no upcharges, where when we sign the contract, the price is the price, and they will not be allowed to go up on the price if something happens. They agreed to this, town of Sutton agreed to it in good faith. I think that's important, because some towns/cities failed to put this in the contract, and they're hit with upcharges. And also, I'm glad you guys are all sitting down. Maybe you want to put your seatbelts on for this one. As you all know, things take time. This truck, at the earliest, will be a 45-month build. That's 4 years. That's on the good side. Through discussions with Mr. Smith, one of the good things, I think, town on a fiscal view, is Shaw Farm will be off the books for delivery of this. So again, don't ask me to speak too much as to finances. That's not my wheelhouse. I put out fires and save your lives and property, as well as the men and women of Sutton. So that's what I do know for factual things. And the generator, again, this was not shooting from the hip. We've been in discussion. We did successfully get state funding for Station 3, probably back about 2021. And that's all installed. And like anything you do, all you gentlemen know me. I don't sit idle. I'm full throttle. I said to Mr. Smith, I asked for his approval to go after more state funding for a generator for Station 2 because that does not have any backup power. And as always, he supported that request. We went out and we filed for grant approval for that. We had conversation about this morning, myself and him. We thought we had the money. Not sure exactly where it went or what happened, but we came up a little short on that end. And that discussion was in 2 years ago. We were working on that. So again, you can ask me whatever you want for questions after I'm done. And the last thing I have is obviously he requests funding for a staffing and headquarters needs assembly survey through a consulting company. Again, this is not shooting from the hip. This has been something we've talked about for probably 5 or 6 years. Like he said, I love a succession plan. I love a game plan. So does he. And this is going to give us a roadmap to the future where Sutton needs to be down the road, where we need to be right now. So I look forward to that. And just to give you a little background on our staffing, Station 1 has 2 chief officers, 3 regular line officers, and 6 firefighters for a total of 11 people out of Station 1. Station 2, which serves Manchog, this is where I have some serious concerns. I'm telling you, I cannot provide adequate coverage to that part of town 24/7. Just this in the last month, we had 2 people leave through no fault of the Sutton Fire Department, both on personal issues. One's looking to advance their career and needed to get closer to the Boston area to do so. So she left. And another one had, personal things. And he moved back to family in Arizona. 2 great firefighters, 2 diamonds in the rough, but we lost them. But anyways, getting back to the personnel at Station 2, we have 1 chief officer, 3 officers, and only 1 firefighter for a total of 5. And to my point is last night is the first Monday night, and you'll see on the training schedule, you all have our training schedule throughout the year. The first Monday night's always an officers meeting, starts off with an officers meeting, so we're all on the same page every single month. And the other ones like truck maintenance to make sure all the equipment's up to par, saws, anything powered, anything electrical, the trucks are washed, oils are checked from stem to stern. There's no stone left unturned. However, last night, due to things come up, there was only 2 people at Station 2. We had to reroute some members from Station 1 down to Station 2 to help out with what we know as PMs. So that's Station 2's a concern. And, you got Robin running out of Station 2, and he's a deputy chief, which, Robin, he needs no introduction here as well. I mean, he just, he's, I know Mr. Smith won't be here, but it is my intention to have a seamless transition turnkey Not only will Robin deserve it, and he does deserve it, he should slide right into the position of fire chief of the town of Sutton upon my retirement. Robin, and I encourage him, and he needs no encouraging. He goes out and grabs every and all classes, as you may have seen on Facebook. He just got chief fire officer. Last week, Robin, Jeff, and I were at a professional development conference for 3 days at the DCU Center. We grab all the professional development we can while making sure this town is providing adequate coverage during the day. We fill the shifts with call members. So it's not the town, we're not out of town, we're one town away. Trust me, if anything comes in, we're trucking down 146. And we will be here. But Station 2 is a concern of mine. I'm sure the study will identify that and offer suggestions. Station 3 is 1 chief officer, 3 officers, 7 firefighters, and 1 paramedic. As you can see, that's 12 firefighters out of Station 3 for a total of 28 firefighters. 4 of them are full-time firefighters as well. 24 of them are call. Another point I want to make is, even for the full-time staff, we're here during the day. This is our full-time job. We're coming back at night and weekends. So we're essentially working 2 jobs. And for the call guys, men and women, again, they're the backbone. They're definitely 180% the backbone of this department. But they're working full-time jobs and coming back for the trainings, and which we have to do at night because of the call members, which leads to the full-time members coming back. So everyone's essentially working 2 jobs. And I just, furthermore on staffing, I just want to give you a breakdown. And again, this is, planning for the future with this staffing study. Personal ages aging 21 to 25, there's only 2 members. Personal ages 26 to 30, there's 3 members. Personal ages 31 to 35, 1. Personal ages 36 to 40, 2. 41 to 45, 4. 46 to 50, 8. 51 to 55, 2. 56 to 60, 5. So within the next 15 years, you're going to be losing 7 at the age of 65. I mean, the next 15 years, you'll lose 15 due to 65. In the next 10 years, you're losing 7 of that total of 28. And that's if people stay to 65. And I can tell you through conversations on 62 is looking like bingo. So this is going to happen sooner than later, because anyone that knows us, like I said, we have a very rigorous training session, training schedule, and we go to a lot of calls. We go to a lot of fires. And because that's what the men and women do. They're great at their jobs. And but you can only go so long as your body can go. And I learned that, and I'm still struggling with that, to be honest with you. I had a shoulder replacement, my bicep reattached, and torn pectoral muscle. And I don't know if I'll ever get back to interior firefighting again. It's a goal of mine, but my body may be saying no. There's a lot of that. Neil and Sean. Sean Scott, I mean, we're older, we got very, very aggressive, but something has to give at some time. So again, those numbers are if they stay till 65, which I'm guessing in the feedback that I'm hearing, like I said, 62 seems like the magic number. And again, listen, I'm not trying to push anything or cram anything down to anyone. This is just giving you 100% of the facts of the Sutton Fire Department. What the select board, the new town manager, the finance committee, the townspeople, what happens from here I have no control over. But I'm telling you what's going to happen here. And, hopefully, we have a good, solid plan that comes from the consultant. We formulate a plan. We know it's not happening overnight. We know it's not going to be instituted next month, next week. But I think it's something that we have to plan for progressively through the years to come. And then put the OSHA stuff on top of that. And so, that's pretty much what I have for you all in a nutshell. I'm sorry to be long-winded. I hope I did it fast and clear enough. Like I said, I'd rather let my actions speak for themselves than get up here in front of you all speaking, because I am not a public speaker. And like I said, Hannah knocked it out of the park. Me, not so much. So that's what I got for you, gentlemen.
As always, Chief, you did great. Thank you. Thank you. Well, as you know, we will open it up to the board, and that leaves Jesse up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, outstanding. This is, I think, a conversation that is long overdue because of the simple reality of things. I apologize for not going down to water training Saturday.
We couldn't get through the ice.
Oh, all right. Well, then I didn't miss much.
We tried and tried. We had a 16-inch bar on the chainsaw. It didn't hit the water. Then we notched out about a 4-inch thing on the top of the ice and then buried the 16-inch bar again. Still never hit water.
You wouldn't have squeezed me in that hole, that's for sure. So,
So
all right, well,
we had to postpone it till probably I can do ice rescue along with open water rescue training all in the same time.
there you go. There you go.
I'll kill two birds with one stone.
Well, keep me in the loop. I have no problem wearing that walrus suit again, so that was definitely fun. I've had, and I'm not going to say anything about my colleagues, but I've had the ability to go to some of your trainings. And top notch is an understatement. The water rescue training, the tech training that you had over at Norton's, or Wyman Gordon's rather, and Grafton, the burn up at the Whittier's farm up there, just outstanding professionalism. I saw men and women willing to put the hours in to serve this community. As you said, particularly all the on-call members, they work full-time jobs. They have families. They have commitments. But call comes out, they respond. They leave their house any hour of the night to help out our community. They give hours and hours and hours of training just so that way we could have a top-notch force. So the respect that I have for the men and women of your department and your team, words cannot reach the level of respect that I have for them. So thank you to all of them who are hopefully at home watching. Because, to me, it's a numbers game. You look at the breakdown of the age, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was amongst the questions that I had. 46 and older, you're talking 15 members of a 28-man department. So that means, in no short order, we will not be able to respond to calls. And even if we still maintain those numbers and they stick around, how efficient are they going to be 55, 60 years old? And with some of the younger ones, and there's not many there, are they going to stick around long enough? So I think this staffing survey, definitely long overdue, because the last thing I think any resident wants to worry about is, God forbid, something happens in their home and they put a call in. What happens if no one comes? And I think we're getting there. We're not there yet. It's still a few years off. So I'm glad that we're getting the ball rolling, because there's a lot of work. You got the inspections that go on. You got not only the training, you got all of the calls. 657 calls last year. How does that compare 2023 off the top of your head?
Oh, we continue just to increase.
So every single year we get more and more. We have more houses going in. We have more businesses going in. It's happening in our area. You have our members that are on these specialty teams. I'm sure they're called away very frequently. I know of discussions that we had between us. There was North Carolina situation. They put a call up the eastern coast. And they were looking to have not only personnel, but equipment go down there as well.
Yeah, in which I failed to mention that those EMACs, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts had 11 EMACs requests last year. We're lucky if we usually get one. We had 11. And I was proud to, and again, I think some of you know this, that I sit on the State Tech Rescue Coordinating Council Special Operations for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which represents the whole Commonwealth. I've been on that since 2018, appointed by the governor, and 3 years ago I was appointed vice chair, and the last 2 years running I chair it. A little fire chief from Sutton, Mass, chair in the State Tech Rescue Special Operations, which I take the lead on. When EMACs come out, we have to go behind closed doors and meet. And so in the EMAC request, it's a bidding process. We have to come up with a number to send to the state that's requesting it, and they have the choice of whether to accept it or not, because it's not for free. So that state has to accept the bid that we put in. So there's got to be a lot of work done very quickly about, because if a Worcester guy's on part of this team, we got to take his salary, his backfill, his overtime, and all of that. So we got to do a lot of work real quick. But we had 11 requests of EMACs last year, and there's no indication that that's going to stop. It's the feedback we're getting from the feds is that it's only going to go up.
Chief, can you do me a favor? What's an EMAC, just so the community will understand?
Emergency Management Area Compact.
How wide of a radius are we talking about? Are we New England? Are we East
Whole
Coast?
country.
The whole country?
We, District 7, we put, well, not District 7, Region 3, which is District 7, 8, and 14. We put in a proposal to go to Florida. And that was for a structural thing. And I said the only way we were going was if they flew the team in the apparatus on C-130s. I said there's no way we're going to be able to drive these fire engines and the aerial ladders from Massachusetts down to Florida and have the 4 men on each apparatus riding those jump seats all the way down to Florida. So, and of course, that escalated the cost. But, I didn't want the wear and tear on the apparatus. The council agreed with me and said, okay. So there's a lot of planning. I spend a lot of time at Joint Base Cape Cod in meetings with them, the feds. Last Wednesday, I was up in Beverly at the URC team, which is a federal team, Mass Task Force 1. Because we're not sure what's going to happen with that team. And that's 100% federally funded. Who knows? That may be going away. They don't know. So now the state, we're in conversation with them to make sure that the Commonwealth's protected no matter what. So, never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be sitting in Beverly at Mass Task Force 1 headquarters talking with the feds. But that's what we do,
So essentially, every member of our department that's on one of these specialized teams could be called at a moment's notice.
Yep.
And when they get called, how do we get coverage?
Backfill and overtime.
Backfill and overtime. And would the town be responsible for their salary, or would it get compensated?
Negative. That's, like I said, Jesse, we look at everyone's rates, and, it's a nightmare. Good thing we have a good money person on the council, because everyone's got a different rate. Every overtime rate is different. So you got to have that readily available. If your member wants to go, you have to have it readily available. Another thing that we have to have readily available is their medical. We keep it in a locked box, and if they're going, it goes with them. So there's a lot of moving parts to that.
Definitely complicated.
Yeah.
It's an extra job, as you said.
Oh, most definitely. And just one thing before I forget to mention it, about the call members and getting new members. you know, you know, again, Mr. Smith knows, we talk about this, you know, that ship is sailing. That ship is, you get a new member because, again, the Commonwealth, you have to go to the part-time academy. There's no way around it. So you have to go take a PAT test before you can even start the academy. So that's a long preparation. They have pre-tests that they go to. And then if they pass their PAT and whatever class they get into, it's either at Stowe, Springfield, or Bridgewater. They have to travel on their own dime. And then it's 26 weeks. It's 26 weeks of every Tuesday, Thursday, every Saturday for 8 hours, and some Sundays for 26 weeks. Now, if you're married, you have kids, it's impossible. It's impossible to do it. And again, that's non-negotiable.
And that's only just to be an on-call firefighter.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a huge commitment. That's a
Oh,
huge
yeah.
commitment. And I think that's definitely impacting.
Yeah,
'Cause
so I just want.
I'm sure back in the day, you know, most towns, they could fully deploy an on-call force because you had people working in town. They could just drop their job, go and participate. They could get trainings in their department.
Jesse, when I applied to Millbury in 1984, there was 80 members. And when I first got on, you had to become a civil defense firefighter first. That's what you were initially, a civil defense firefighter. You did not get paid, and you had to sit on there until there was an opening to get on. Because Millbury was capped out at 80. Grafton was capped out at 80. I'm not sure, I can't speak to Sutton. But, you know, look at us now. And
Yeah.
no one's knocking down the door. I mean, no one can afford to put that kind of time
Yeah.
in, especially if they're married, especially if they got kids, and the kids are playing sports. And not only local sports, they're doing travel leagues, they're doing AAU. You know, spouses are working.
So how would going down the route of having a full-time fire department impact that reality?
It already is.
No, what I'm saying is if we get to the point where we can no longer fill these positions,
Oh,
we can no longer respond to
the
calls.
membership knows, like I stated, Jesse, I have officers meeting every month. I have an open door policy. My phone is on 24/7, and I will answer it. So I not only know my members, I know their families, I know their kids. I go to their family functions. They know it's coming. What we're doing now is not going to be sustainable.
Well, it's not. I mean, the numbers just do not bear it out in any way forward. I just don't see it happening. In terms of our calls, one of the discussions that we also talked about, the town manager brought up last week meeting or the meeting before, talked about the possible renewal of
The ambulance.
contract, the ambulance
Yeah.
contract. 255 calls. If we were to consider building our own
That's
ambulatory
what
source.
we did for calls for EMS.
Right.
That's not what the ambulance did for
Right, well,
calls.
that's out of Sutton calls, correct?
No, we only go on priority 2 calls or higher.
Okay.
And that's if dispatch, and Chief Colorio has a good bunch of dispatches. I'm not saying that, but sometimes it gets real hectic,
Yeah.
real quick. And I mean, his dispatch has got to do the, Chief, what's that thing that they do when they're on the phone? What's the technical term when they're guiding someone through CPR or something?
Oh, yeah, that's a very labor-intensive job. You know, ideally, a lot of public safety forces have tried to combine telecommunications, and it's really starting to look, as we've evolved technologically in both fields, to be a failed experiment.
Chief, I'm going to put you on the spot. Everything you said was not broadcast. Do you want to come up and talk to the mic?
As you can see, I brought reinforcements with me.
You know, just as we're rolling forward in both of our professions.
Chief, I'm going to interrupt you for just one sec. You're new to town. Can you just introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm Tom Coloro. I sat here before. Not
Yeah, I
too long ago. I'm the current police chief in Sutton. And, you know, as we roll forward with public safety, as our professions have both evolved, the telecommunication piece of both of our jobs are becoming incredibly hectic and unique to themselves. Departments historically throughout the country over the past 20 years have combined these jobs because there was cost savings involved in it. And now you're starting to see that they're starting to pull them back apart because there's just too much to do with lower staff. So as people are building public safety complexes, they're pulling apart fire and police again, as opposed to combining them to save money. It's just too much going on, and it's too hectic to track. So, you know, just we had a very lengthy conversation this afternoon pertaining to where we're at in public safety with recruiting, and this is across the gamut, because where fire had a steady stream of volunteer people on the bench that were drooling to get a full-time job, they don't exist anymore. And it's the same thing with police and the reserve side of the house. Literally, a high school kid can come out of high school and say, I think I want to be a cop or a firefighter, and they're going to get a job. They're going to get a full-time job somewhere. So relying on a part-time force now is really, you're really counting your blessings day to day that is sustainable, that they'll hang around, which is why we're in the, and this is countrywide, why we're in the gaps we are in Manning, and as we go forward, it's a shared pain. It really is, which is why I told him I was going to come and support him, because it's a shared pain, because it is frustrating to see our profession go from where there was 700-800 people in a room trying to get one job to you begging to get 10 people to show up, and then to get them to the finish line is maybe 10-15%. So it's a combined effort. But ideally, if there's ever a new fire facility built, he would take back over dispatching for that emergency services piece, and then police could come back out, which is where we were headed in the last place that I worked.
Yep.
We really started to look at it, and it just wasn't working, and that was with a dispatch complement of about 13 people. It just wasn't working. So
They got to do so much, like I said. I mean, if you call 911 and you say you have an unresponsive, not breathing, and that dispatch has got to walk you through how to do CPR, talk to the police officers responding, get the ambulance on the road, and then tone us out while instructing on how to do chest compressions. I mean, it's just...
And the dispatch facility in the police station, state of the art.
Right,
Yeah,
but I'm
absolutely.
just, that's a lot on one person.
Right.
Now throw in the human element of people screaming in the background at the dispatcher, you gotta get me help, my husband's not breathing. I mean, you gotta try to visualize all of this, and the dispatcher's gotta keep his composure and get basically, 3 entities going, police, fire, and EMS, and maintain communications with the individual. I was never a dispatcher. I never wanted to be. I never will be. But that's a tall ask.
It is, really is. Again, circling back to my concern, though, with staffing, with the call volume, and the potential need, depending upon what the survey says, of us going to a full-time fire department, which would probably also require us to have a full-time ambulatory service in town. Do we have the call volume that would justify that at this point?
Obviously, we don't have the call volume that Millbury and Grafton has, but what we do have is a better, and again, this is not my wheelhouse finances, but a better recoup rate than Millbury and Grafton, because people in Sutton have better, I gotta have a higher rate of return and have better insurance per capita.
So if we were to go down that route, us having our own ambulatory service wouldn't necessarily be a money loser, but it would be sustained based on billable hours.
Once you got it up and running, I can tell you it's not going to sustain itself when you first put this up and running.
Well, yeah, of course, because you got to buy the ambulances, you got to have the crews.
Supplies,
Yeah,
the monitors. It's and again, that's going to be another tough nut if in fact we have to do that. And I'm not saying that we're going to go down that road. Matter of fact, I can tell you I'm going to do everything in my power to get the 3 towns to sign another. And again, Mr. Smith told you this at your last meeting. I'm going to do everything in my power to get a 5-year contract signed. I think Mr. Smith will attest to this. Out of the 3 towns, I probably have the best relationship with MedStar. I interact with them a lot. I know the owners, I know the vice president, and I know the regional supervisor. We talk weekly. Greg treats me with tremendous respect. I show it right back to them. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm going to hit the pavement hard with that. And, you know, I like to go by the motto, I refuse to lose. I don't like losing. And I'm going to do everything in my power to get a 5-year contract out of them. I can tell you that. But the one thing that I'm powerless is to what the other 2 towns do.
Of course. I got 2 more questions, and then I'll pass the mic. Are there any other towns in the area that have switched from on-call to full-time in the last 5 years?
You know, all of them are making the transition. Grafton just did. Grafton was probably the newest. I think they did that maybe 2 years now.
For the same reasons that at least we're facing?
Yeah, like Chief Colorio said, it's not only Sutton, Blackstone Valley, it's across the country. You know, you pick up a book or you read the stats, like we get stats all the time. It's not isolated to Blackstone Valley, Southern Worcester County, Massachusetts. It's across the country.
Yeah, it's really concerning. It definitely is, that's for sure. Because the last thing that I think anybody wants to see is, again, the call goes in and nobody responds.
We got a top-notch ambulance service here, and I don't want to lose them. I can tell you, if something goes sideways here, it's not going to be for not doing our due diligence. I can tell you right now, and you can go to the bank with that.
Well, I've seen you in action, Chief. I know you bring your A game every day of the week.
That's
for
just
sure.
passion.
I know. Well, I don't really have a question. Just one last comment, a hope and a prayer. I'm hoping that your contract negotiations are successful, because the amount of money I know you saved the town when you and your crew redid the fire headquarters, the amount of hours that you put in for this town, the fact that I know I've seen you out and about in the community. You always got the portable. You're always listening. You're always ready to go at a moment's notice. Hopefully that is reflected in this next contract. So.
I'm sure.
And you will always have my support so long as you wear that gold badge, Chief.
Once you take that off.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Jonathan?
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Belcito and Chief Cloro. Welcome to the table. I appreciate that you're actually both here. You know, Chief, that you are here supporting Chief Belcito. I really appreciate that very much.
I'll tell you, it means a ton to me, and
Yeah.
I know, and in my membership as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's no I in team.
Yep, I like to see it. So I'm really thankful of that.
They're an incredible group. The calls that I've been on that they've responded to, I have full, absolute faith in them. And it's a very warm company feeling to know that there's that level of professionalism in that truck when something happens. So it's been a great experience over the past 5 weeks on the calls that I've been on with them. It really has.
Yeah, thank you. You know, it's pretty clear to me. I mean, Jesse covered a lot, and you know, I agree with everything that he's talking about and his concerns. You know, it's pretty clear to me that we're moving, as you've stated, you know, we're moving away from the era of, you know, call firefighters and kind of, you know, the amount that's required, you know, in the training and even just like the staffing, thinking about like trying to staff 24/7, and you have to rely on really call firefighters, I'm assuming, to have coverage in these stations.
From 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. and Saturdays and Sundays and holidays, you're relying strictly on call.
Yeah. So
And I'll tell you, the full-time people, they're all in too. And they come back. They come back.
I mean, I think one of the things that I think about is, you know, obviously we're going to be doing this, this, you know, study, which I think is going to be really critical. It's actually very good timing, you know, because there is a lot that we need to think about. And I think, you know, in reality, the world does demand, you know, the types of training that are out there. And I think it is very important that, you know, people have the appropriate training. And, so as we move more towards, a full-time department, we're going to probably have to start moving in a direction where we move from 24 call to, we only have 4 full-time. And I know we haven't done the study yet, but do you perceive that we'll still need 28 firefighters at that point, or do you think it would be a smaller force because we'd have more full-time people?
Well, we take what we can get.
Yeah.
Because even if we bump up to, say, 6, 8, even 10, add in vacation time, sick time, personal time, if someone gets hurt inside or outside of work, to do our jobs, it takes a village. I would say most calls, we do yeoman's work now with 4 people. We pull off some amazing stuff. Some stuff that we probably shouldn't, but my group of full-timers, we push the envelope.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you think about like mutual aid too. We have the calls that are happening in Sutton, but then there's also the mutual aid calls. And in reality, because most other firefighters are probably operating, with limited resources, mutual aid is extremely important. And if you're not, you have to contribute to it in order for people to come to Sutton to help us when the time comes. And so that's why it's mutual aid. And I think, so that really has to be included in the full understanding of how many calls that we're actually going on in Sutton. It's not just calls that are in Sutton itself. And so I think that's really important.
Trust me, if we needed mutual aid, I don't even think I'd have to make the call to the dispatcher and request it.
Well, yeah.
They'll be here in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Well, you give and you receive,
Oh, yeah.
So I think those are all things that are important. And of course, we have the ambulance, issue, potential issue at some point. I think the biggest challenge is you've probably heard through the budgeting process, and it's just trying to figure out, like, there's limited funds, and so how are we going to make this happen? And I think it's absolutely critical. There's no question, and a lot of departments are really struggling, with the same type of challenges. And this is something we're going to have to really figure out as a town and also as a state in particular, with support from probably the federal government, and so, because it really is unsustainable. And then really the only way a town can continue based on inflation and the cost of labor and all those kind of things, the only way we can continue is to continue to grow in order to meet our budget, because we can only grow 2.5% per year. So then we have to get through new growth every year. And that just exacerbates the problem, because there's more businesses and houses and other things to take care of. So it's just this cycle of never really being able to catch up. So these are all things that are going to be critical for us to solve this. But the immediate issue is just like, I'm really going to be interested to see, this study that you're going to do, because that will give us data to understand where we need to be and how we're going to get there, So I think that's absolutely critical to do that. So.
And like the chief said, we met at like today, and again, I want to reiterate this, and I want to make this crystal clear. Like I said, we know this is not going to happen today, tomorrow, next month, but we should start integrating it. And most of all is you're going to have a game plan and a roadmap to get to where we need to be. But it's my professional and personal feeling we need to start integrating, now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree with you with that. I mean, it takes time, and it will be a transition. Just like the fire truck, it's 4 years out to receive receipt of that. You got to start planning now, and I think your decision to move forward now versus waiting to see if Building 1, which I doubt will ever come in, based on the...
I'm not even sure. I guess that's a question for Mr. Smith. I'm not even sure if the second TIF agreement expired yet.
No, I think we extended
No,
it.
the board extended that for 18 months at the last.
Yeah.
Hey, who knows? Maybe we can hit Yahtzee. I don't know. But one thing I can tell you that for a fact, too, is the price isn't going down.
No.
Yeah.
Yep. So I really appreciate you coming tonight and giving us an overview, kind of letting us understand the challenges that, the department faces. I think the last thing that anybody wants is that, that, as Jesse said, something happens to, the police department or the fire department's called out, they're delayed because of staffing issues, and someone is, impacted, either, injured or or have more severe injuries or even death. And same thing with the firefighters not having enough, or the police not having enough resources, and something happens, and they get injured on the job because of it as well. So these are all things we've got to be considering, and these are both jobs that, have a lot of risk, that most people don't have to face on their day-to-day. So this is going to be, so I think that, you coming in and starting the conversation with us, the study that you're going to be doing is going to help us start to put together the plan of how we're going to get there and figuring that out. And the new town manager is going to have to really work with the board, and the board's going to have to work with the town manager and you as well to figure out what that path looks like. So,
Well, I'd like to thank us because, we're the ones that provide public safety. And like he said, it's not a unique to just the fire department.
right.
But times are changing, and none of us can keep it standing still.
Hope can never be a plan for us.
No.
It just doesn't work that way. Hope is not a plan. So it's great to have conversations and get dialogue and a lot of information out there, and then everybody can just kind of, you're all a lot smarter than me. It's a good think tank to get a lot of good information in front of you, and then you can see where you're headed, because we don't live in a world that hopes a plan. So that's why we meet a lot and talk. So you got a lot of great people here. We want to keep them safe.
Exactly.
Yep, and I think it's important because the sooner we can have the conversations around the realities, both financially and around just, the needs, the better we can put together a plan to at least start moving in that path versus right now just not having the conversation. It just kind of continues to be a problem, so.
And most of all, our main goal is not only to educate the officials in town, but it's obviously, it's extremely important to educate the townspeople.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Ultimately, they pay the bills.
Exactly. But
Yep,
I can
it's-
tell you, for police and fire, this town is protected extremely well. Extremely well. None of us will stop at nothing.
They probably know that, but if they don't, I'm sure they're comforted at this point, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, thank you for coming in and giving us all that information. And Chief Calero, thank you as well for showing up. It's, I'm glad to see you here. So you really did give us a lot of information, which I'm glad you did, because I don't think that, I didn't know all of what you explained, and I'm sure that the residents don't. But before I knew you were coming in, and I knew OSHA was an issue, so I looked into that a little bit. And it seemed, what I read, the federal government or OSHA estimated that this was going to cost $14,000 to implement all these changes, which seems kind of ridiculous to me.
14,000.
$14,000 to implement the OSHA changes
For a department?
for the department. Now,
Well, I seen that as well, and I just chuckled, and again,
they're
again,
talking
Jeff,
about
I'm not
medical
the.
exams for everybody, turnout gear replaced every 10 years for everybody, and the training. In the training, one of the things that I never worried about here was training, and now we've got, I don't know if this is additional training over and above what.
Look at the truck inspections. The only way you're getting that done is it's going back to the dealer.
Yeah.
At $200 an hour per truck.
Yep.
And it's after so many calls, and then the physicals after so many calls, and.
Yep.
So, $14,000,
So that's been postponed?
Oh, no. We're just waiting for their judgment. The second round, the extension of comments through the chiefs through the country has ended.
But it hasn't been implemented yet.
It hasn't been implemented yet. We're in standby mode.
What do you think's going to happen?
Look, you're talking about the federal government. If you know that, you don't, no disrespect, you don't belong here. I don't.
All right. I'll tell you what I think. I think there's no way that they can do this because I think we're not alone, right?
Oh,
You know,
no.
we're just not.
I mean, we're all hoping that, Mr. Bannon, we're all hoping that, but,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, look, I gave up on that. We said our piece strongly, but like I said, we had to do it professionally and strongly because they're all safety issues. So, you know, we can't give the appearance that we don't care about our members, because obviously we do.
Yeah.
And, you know, we didn't want to give them the upper hand by turning around and saying, hey, see, your chief don't care about you.
Yeah,
And that's not true.
It seems to me also that the administrative burden is
Oh, my God.
ridiculous. They were saying like estimating 400 hours a year just on paperwork.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be asking for one part-time secretary. I'd be asking for at least two full-time secretaries.
Can you get them for 14,000?
Yeah, right.
Is there, Chief Claro, is there similar type OSHA requirements coming down the pike for the police departments?
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
Although, like the chief said, we're at a very kind of up in the air time federally right now. And I can tell you this, just based on where I retired from, there's a lot of things that are there's a lot of balls in the air waiting to see what's going to drop in the next 90 days.
Yeah.
So you don't know what mandates are going to come out of DC.
Yeah. So speaking about what's going to happen in the next 90 days, it seems to be that, unfortunately, the time to buy a fire truck couldn't be worse, with tariffs introduced at, it is, and I'm glad you mentioned that about no upcharges. But is the tariffs going to be built into the cost that we're talking about? I assume, I mean, if we had ordered it 3 months ago, we could avoid the upcharge for the tariffs? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, look, we it's a double-edged sword. I mean, we, myself and Mr. Smith, we're trying to do what was in the best interest of the town. And again, the only thing I can tell you, Mr. Bannon, is the cost is never going to go down.
No, I get that. I get that.
So
that was one of the
mean,
concerns I had was that,
I mean,
$1 million.
I don't know how, that's.
It's $1.3 million,
No, well, that, hopefully we get this signed. They know that we're in the market. I know a lot of people out there. I was telling Mr. Smith this morning after the department head meeting. I talked to the vice president of a manufacturing company of the New England regions. And, he knows, so he knows what I'm looking for. He can have Matt Belsito candid conversations with them, and they'll know exactly where we're coming from.
Yeah. How old is
That's a technical term.
It is. Yeah. How old is the rescue truck that you're replacing?
1994.
1994. Okay.
30 years, 31 years.
Nice.
And keep in mind, it's a 4-year build-out, so it'll be close to 40 years when.
Got it.
And
Is that a realistic cost, $1 million, or is that a placeholder cost?
Go ahead, Chief.
That's probably going to be a realistic cost. I'll tell you, if you go to replace an aerial now, you're looking at $2 million to start.
Yeah.
Even engine 2 down in Manchog was $850,000. So it's specialty vehicle.
Big number, yeah. Okay, well, that's really all I wanted. I'm glad you came in to explain it to us, because just for the capital plan alone, it's half the capital plan. So I'm glad we had the time to explain it and explore it and let us know what it's all about.
Yeah, no,
And the OSHA is an issue, and I'm hopeful, probably more hopeful than you, that it, cool heads will prevail.
Listen, and again, I know, Mr. Manning, you know me, but I absolutely hate unfunded mandates. Mr. Smith will tell you, through 13 years of working side by side with him, he knows what agitates me, and you know, this is certainly one of them. I don't like that. And like I said, when they froze our grant, that they already sent a letter to me and him saying we got. I mean, I came in his office hot, man.
You just mentioned, are there grants available for, I think, didn't Northbridge get a grant for a,
Yeah, and again,
replacement thing, or are
yeah,
those-
they got a grant to offset the cost of their aerial. But again, as we talked about this morning, the unfortunate part for Sutton is the way that PVT and Norfolk Aggie looks at Sutton, as far as what their formula is and what they charge per student. And you know, I don't think I don't try to go after grants.
sure you do.
I actually, you know, District Chief Jeff Briggs is writing grants all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Jeff does yeoman work in that area, and we're pounding the pavement, Mr. Banner. We're trying our best, but you know,
like one of those things, public safety should have a lot more grants available than they do.
The real challenge is that, you know, Northbridge is a CDBG community development block grant community. They have certain areas within Northbridge that are eligible. Sutton is too high for median wealth.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Matt is talking about, why we get killed with the DVT and Norfolk Aggie, because those are they can charge whatever they want.
Yeah.
And it, you know, we get penalized at a greater level.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for coming and explaining. It was good that you did. I know we learned a lot, and I'm sure that, you know, the people, we have a pretty big audience that watch
I
it.
see that.
Yeah. So I think we even have 3 people on there right now. So
Most watch time slot and
Yeah.
you know, radio show and our.
Well, you're welcome, Mr. Bannon, and you know, I just want to reassure you, the officials and the public, we do everything we can.
I know you do,
And again, Mr. Smith knows how I feel about that. Chief Clorio does. He's seen a little discussion today.
Passion. There's
Passion.
He's got
Passion.
passion. That's what you get, passion.
passion's a good thing. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Norman, how about you?
All right, very good. Good evening, Chief. I have to say we indirectly mutually know some people, and your reputation is very high, and it's evident with the assessment and the testimony you provided this evening, so thank you. Here is a little bit more direct. Listen, we can no longer, no, we have, but we're not going to kick this can down the road, because here's my concern is we cannot have an essential service become a disservice to the town, for the town residents. And I experienced a personal situation in my hometown. Speaking of my hometown, I want to thank the Chief Calero for supporting Chief Balsito. So thank you for coming, and thank you for the team support.
Thank you.
Is that in my hometown, I remember 40 years ago, there were concerns about a rescue not being able to reach, because we only had one, and we only could reach a certain areas in time, and some areas would be affected in reach time. Unfortunately, there was like a 12 or 13-year-old boy that died because a rescue could not be there in time, and came out in the fact that if the rescue was there in time, perhaps the young boy would have survived. So I don't want that happen in Sutton. None of us do, right? So we just need to assure to the town, and I know you did a great analysis of putting the numbers together for FTDs. I think that is very essential. Where I looking at this and looking at my notes, Chief, is that I'm looking at the profession or the industry. And as I was taking notes, I said, you're getting hit by 2 areas, Chief. And then one is the profession itself of becoming a firefighter. As both chiefs mentioned, that there's a shortage, right? And this is a concern. And 2 is you're looking at the manufacturers of the apparatus, right? So great information out there in regards to what's happened to the industry. It's become manipulated, in my opinion, by private equity. I'm a capitalist, but when private equity does a disservice to to the general public is a concern. I have a hard time understanding why it takes 45 months because it was not like that before. Because I lived in a former town where I knew some people that worked in a manufacturing center that actually manufactured apparatus as such, and they would this it's becoming becoming a nuisance in a sense and a disservice. My question, Chief, and a lot of them were answered with the roundtable. But mentioning with the manufacturing, is the tariffs really a concern in terms of acquiring parts and the like? I mean, they can't source it internally as a whole?
Well, again, me and Mr. Smith talked about this morning, and, since COVID and again, I have my own personal thoughts on that. I'll refrain from that, but no one's holding inventory anymore. And, when I went out to inspect Engine 2 in 2015, there was probably 2,000 motors, 3,000 rear ends, 8,000 transmissions. I mean, the places where they make the rigs, the apparatus, are massive. And again, Norman, this is just, a speculation. I don't think they're holding huge inventories, and that they're not ordering the transmission, the rear ends, and stuff like that. Yeah, they fabricate the cab and chassis in the body, but the motors, the drivetrain, the pumps, they're all coming. The pumps are coming either from Waterous or Hale. The transmissions are coming from Allison. Mostly, and then you have your choice of Cummins or Detroit. So they're not holding inventory, and they're not going to do it until Mr. Smith signs on a dotted line to order them, and then getting all the components and the little stuff as well. I just don't think the manufacturers are holding huge inventories anymore. Where they
This just sounds like they went into a just-in-time inventory type of strategy in a sense, right? Which has some goods and benefits in a sense. The other concern I have is just the unknown number of OSHA, what that's going to stand, because it seems like a dynamic cost where it's kind of like a big unknown, for the town. But a lot of the question assumptions I had were addressed already by the other board members, but I will leave it this, and I want to thank you for the thorough chiefs as well, but I just want to leave and be very direct that we cannot have an essential service become a disservice for the town. So this is a great analysis, great testimony, and I think we can definitely have good information that we can move forward with. So I want to thank you for your time, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to Norman's, me and the chief talked about, the cruises. They're a special police package Ford Explorer, and they're 14, 16 months out.
You're 11 to 14 months from the time you send the invoice in. They won't manufacture the car until every single piece in it. I waited on 6 cruisers for 8 months for brackets for federal lights, where I went to McGovern and asked. I said, it would have been cheaper for you to have somebody mill them. They were tiny little brackets, but they would not start assembling your vehicle until every part from that order is sitting on the floor of assembly. So we order a car, you're going to see it in 10 to 14 months.
Yeah, I have some thoughts around that and why they're doing that, but that's a separate discussion perhaps. Thank you. Thank you both of you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Norman. Jesse, I think you had another.
I just one more question for you, Chief, and Jeff and Norman mentioned OSHA. If the hammer falls, do we actually have the ability in the department to adhere to all of these new regulations that are coming down if they were implemented tomorrow? Do we have the manpower? Do we have the right facilities to adhere to all these rules?
No. That's why, we need to, again, me and the chief talked about this. The answer to that is no. But, I have to pass that on to Mr. Smith, to you guys, the townspeople. And again, all I'm simply stating, in my professional and personal, we got to start integrating, inching forward that way, and it's never going to go back. So, no. Just to answer your question point blank, no, Jesse, we don't.
I appreciate your honesty, Chief. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I can just add to that. That's why I'm just taking my notes here and I just circled it. That is the lot, when I meant unknown, it's an unknown. We just know, and that is a big question mark. So thank you. I don't need to extrapolate further.
Yeah, just to add to that, I know where I work, OSHA compliance, it's a technical thing. Like you just need to have training on how to do what it is that OSHA's asking you to do, just how to document it properly, and it's an issue. We've kept you here a long time, so I'll try to go very quickly here. It is great to see both of you here. I think Jonathan used the word education for the town, and that's exactly what this is. So communicating to the town is very much appreciated, and certainly for the board itself. So just a couple of things. First of all, I also wanted to mention Deputy Chief Dresser. So, I work for a business here in town, and he's been great with training and responding to minor things that might go on, but witnessing firsthand the resources that he brings to bear, for the benefit of commercial industries in town is just great to see. And he, as you know, he just does it with his style. He's just so easy to get along with, and does a great presentation inside the building. And I couldn't not have this opportunity and leave it be. I had to mention that. So
Yeah, and Robin hits the senior center, private companies for fire extinguisher training and stuff like that. And two things I failed to mention: Jeff and Renee are CPR certified instructors. They will give anyone CPR. We just did a homeschool for a homeschool class, CPR. We do 3 or 4 times the Dudley Chenron runs
Certified.
CPR classes, and we go down there for nothing. It's our way of giving back to the community. And one other thing that we have is Jeff and Renee are certified child seat installers. So if anyone, we do it for other communities, because they'll call our community and say, do you have someone certified to install a car seat? They say, call over Sutton. They got 2. So we're very
He
fortunate.
did that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate. So look, it's a little town, but we pack a big punch.
yeah, yep. No, we appreciate that. I was struck particularly about the timelines for acquiring a new fire engine. You began discussions, and I guess we sort of know this because of the process for capital approvals and the way that we do it, and how this is a long-term project. But starting in 2019, and if my math is right, somewhere around 10 years later, maybe you end up with a new
Yeah.
vehicle. So it is quite a planning process to be able to get through all of that. And I guess in the same vein, how do you maintain a vehicle that's 30 years old?
Pride. The men and women of Sutton Fire Department, and historically in the fire service in general, the men and women of the fire service take extreme pride in their equipment and their apparatus. If nothing more, for the sole purposes, it's going to keep them alive. They just, I don't know. It always had, it's pride. It's pride, passion for the job, love of the job. I don't know, Chief, if it was the same way in Woonsocket, but I got to believe it is. The fire service has a lot of pride. And they and like I said, for no other reason than when that apparatus rolls out the door, it could kill you if it malfunctions, if you guys are not on top of it. And the only way to ensure that apparatus is in tip-top condition is to clean it. And when you're cleaning it, you're inspecting it. You're going over every part of that. So,
So this is kind of like the why. The how, though, there must be, just obtaining parts to be able to maintain the thing must get difficult at some point.
Oh, yeah. You know, there's a lot of lead times in that. We're very fortunate. We have a great part-time mechanic here in Sutton that's extremely knowledgeable. His primary work allows him to take the service truck to the stations and fix it. He's taken days off from work to go to the professional development conference because they have a mechanics aspect to it as well, where they become certified and whatever, you know, I don't know what it was this year, but they take 2 days of classroom, the third morning of classroom, and then the third day in the afternoon, they take their test to become certified, whether it's brakes or whether, you know, pump testing or those. It's just a specialty. There's nothing easy about a fire truck.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I can also imagine that they become more technologically sophisticated as you upgrade to newer equipment, so.
It does, but I tell you, I do my very best to avoid that. I still like the mechanical stuff, because to me, pushing a toggle switch on a pump panel to charge a Matty Dill, that's not good, because if that thing goes sideways,
Yeah.
or short circuits, that Matty Dill ain't getting charged. In the olden days, you could rip open the pump panel and still grab the handle inside and pull it open. I avoid technology at all costs. I get hung up with the TV clicker at home, okay?
That's good perspective. How many vendors are there out there for a fire truck?
Well, here you go. It's actually, in my opinion, a monopoly, because you may have Emergency One, you may have Ferrara, you may have Spartan, you got all kinds of different names, but at the Rev Group, if you Google the Rev Group, they bought out E1, they bought out Ferrara, they bought out. So I think at this point there's only really 3 manufacturers out there. In my opinion, we talked about this at the professional development conference. I've talked about it with Mr. Smith. I don't know how the feds allow that to happen. It's a monopoly.
Yeah.
Definitely the Rev Group got the whole market of fire apparatus cornered. And sooner or later, they're just going to swallow up the other ones if they don't step in.
So to Norman's point, you know, that's how you get away with having 4-year lead times, because when you don't have a lot of competition, you can do some things like that. So just to bring it all back to a little bit of like short-term reality, you know, I think when the capital plan was first presented to us, there was some concern over the size of the capital plan, which is not all you, but it's a really big item on there. And so, speaking just for myself, I think you've given us a whole lot to think about regarding the need for this, so appreciate that.
And the most important thing, and Mr. Smith, you know, I'm more than welcome to come before you anytime. The biggest thing that we wanted accomplished tonight is to educate the town officials, and more so over is to educate the townspeople. And again, none of these, you can see by the dates, by the presentation tonight, these weren't just thrown out of my back pocket.
Yeah.
These have been discussed for years. So there is nothing, you know, these are not wants, they're needs. I don't think I ever went to Mr. Smith with a want. And, you know, it's you know, it is what it is. I'd be more than willing to talk to anyone about it. You know, I hope I educated. I hope I gave you folks. I hope I gave the folks at home the answers they were looking for. I hope they support the fire department. And and again, as me and Chief talked about, all we can do is educate, put it out on the table, and then from there it's at the mercy of the town officials and ultimately the townspeople. But we will give you a good education when we come before you. We are available 24/7 if anyone has any questions for our respected departments. So I hope the mission was accomplished tonight.
Absolutely. And I know the whole board appreciates the both of you being here.
I can't, again, I gotta reiterate that, on behalf of myself and the entire Sutton Fire Department, this means a lot to us, Chief, and I did not ask him to be here. He told me this morning he was coming, and, you know, we all deeply appreciate it, and
Who
just.
doesn't love a fireman?
Well, I think, you know, I think it was because I fell so hard for him at his swearing-in ceremony.
Well, that is a great way to end this. I appreciate that. So again, thank you both for being here, and go home and have some dinner, maybe.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Stay safe.
Thank you both.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, chiefs. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was great. Let's move on to, speaking of great, the town manager's update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple of issues for the board. The first one is the emergency regulations for the multifamily districts. This is essentially the MBTA adjacent communities law. On January 9th, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court stated that the MBT housing under Section 3A of 40, the Zoning Act, is constitutional. The Supreme Judicial Court all stated that the law is unenforceable because the state failed to issue rules and guidelines regarding the law. I believe that evening the governor filed emergency provisions and set a public comment deadline by February 21st. The planning board sent a letter on February 7th that's attached to this update to the state outlining issues that they have always had with this law. In the past, the select board has signed on to that letter, basically reiterating the same comments that the planning board has. So we're awaiting, but not holding our breath. And as I believe Mr. Roy mentioned, the auditor declared it's an unfunded mandate. So that's another factor. Town council is reviewing this. The housing production plan group that was put together has asked for town council to weigh in on this as far as their opinion to costs and if the town chooses noncompliance and what that could mean for the town. So I will share that opinion with this board as soon as I receive it. You know, we'll continue to pay attention to this issue. Snow and ice expenditures, we have gone over the $250,000 that was budgeted in the FY25 budget. We have gone over it significantly, about $70,000 over now. I'm sure there's still some bills to come in, and that's if winter was over today. So there's no guarantee of it, but the last couple years we've done really well with snow and ice because we got a lot of rain. This year we got some real winter conditions, very cold in January, and ice as well, which is triple as hard because you have to go out with salt 24/7, even overnight and everything else. So it's a significant issue. There's no need to vote on this. The town can now automatically overspend. Typically, you used to have to come back to the board and the finance committee, get approval to overspend this account, even though we're not going to stop treating the road. So it didn't make any sense. So that was resolved, and town meeting is May 12th at 7 p.m. at the middle school, high school auditorium.
Very good. Thank you, Jim. Jesse, comments, questions?
I got a couple of comments, but I'm going to keep it short because there's really not much to say. First and foremost, as the resident attorney here, I actually went to law school, and one of the first classes I had with my first professor in law school was a simple truism that I've found to be shockingly true, and I think regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, I think we'll all agree that one of the problems when you look at determinations that are made by courts is that the judges make, well, he used an adult word, but I'm not going to do that. So we'll say judges make stuff up all the time. So the fact that the SJC, which is dominated by liberal Democrat judges and has been stacked and filled as a result of the fact that the governor's committee, governor's council, has been filled with Democrats for the last 20, 30 years, this type of decision does not surprise me. But I do find it ironic that we're in a state where our governor doesn't feel the need to actually enforce the laws, and they feel that there are certain exceptions that can be carved out, based on certain situations. So, when I heard that the auditor came down with a ruling, the fact that to a degree this is not enforceable because they're compelling the municipalities to adhere to this questionable law, I was kind of relieved. Obviously it's a work in progress, and we're going to learn more as we go forward. But I can tell you one thing. I know how, if this item is presented before town meeting, how I'm going to vote. And I know if we have the opportunity as a board to join in some of the resistance, I'm fully supportive of that as well. Because this is definitely an overreach. It's not going to benefit our town in any way, shape, or form. And again, I just don't think it's going to be good for us either in the short term or the long term.